Hi everyone, welcome to Delightful D. I'm DJ, and today I have a treat for you. We're going to be doing a biography about a powerful woman that is breaking all of the rules in Africa, and she has everyone talking. I'm talking about Queen Elle, and some are even calling her the boss of Burkina Faso. Now, who is Queen Elle really? Behind the glossy Instagram pictures and the red lipstick, what is she really about? Well, we're going to dive into some of her history and hopefully find that out today. Now, Queen Elle is around 41 years old, and she is an African American woman that made her name in Atlanta. And I know you're probably not surprised by that, right? For the last 10 years, all of the big names in Black culture seem to come from Atlanta. Well, Queen Elle was no different. In fact, she actually climbed into the upper echelons of high Atlanta society. At one point, she even became a member of the esteemed multi-million-dollar sales club for a very prominent real estate brokerage in Atlanta, Georgia. She was hobnobbing with the wealthy, she has met those in power, and she knew how to broker a deal better than most. In fact, she was able to make sales where other people failed. Queen Elle made her name in Atlanta. Now, she's very open and honest in her books and her blogs about how, like many other people in the world, how she fell on hard times. So at some point during her high-powered career in Atlanta, Georgia, she actually fell into poverty. And like millions of Americans, she found herself homeless. But Queen Elle did not let this keep her down. She actually allowed this experience to turn her into what she calls an overcomer or a survivor, someone who doesn't let the circumstances of life get them down. Queen Elle is also very open and vulnerable about some of the things that she had to do to make ends meet, including taking a job as a stripper or an exotic dancer at one point to make sure that there was food on the table. Now, for those who have walked in a mother's shoes, Queen Elle is an example of a mother who was not willing to allow herself to be pitied. In fact, she has 4 children in total, one of which is biological, and 3, she says, are from a failed marriage. We don't know much about the husband, but she does say that she endured lots of pain and lots of struggle during her time. Sometime in the late 2000s, Queen Elle decided that she had had enough of Atlanta and its hip hop culture and its fried chicken and waffles, and she was ready to move on to something else. And that's something else? Puerto Rico, claro que sí. Yes, you heard me right. Queen Elle, an African American woman, picked up and moved her and her child to Puerto Rico. And not only move, but she carved out a life for herself while she was there. She became fluent in Spanish. She opened up a real estate brokerage of her own where she brokered her own deals. And she even ran a boutique, a clothing boutique called Prieta. By all intents and purposes, it seemed like her business was doing fairly well. She seemed to be enjoying the life that she chose for herself. But you can't keep a good woman in one place for long. At some point late last year, Queen Elle became aware of JT Bigga Figga, a popular rapper from the Bay Area who has since relocated to Burkina Faso. He has become one of the most well-known and visible brand ambassadors of Burkina Faso. Now remember that, because it's going to be important to this story later. So Queen Elle is taken in by the charisma and the energy of JT. She was watching his videos and she was so pulled in by JT that she reached out to him from her place in Puerto Rico and struck a deal for land, for a certain price, of course, and for her to relocate. Well, JT was all welcoming. He had open arms for her, and he even told people on his channel about the deal with Queen Elle. When she arrived, it seemed to be going to plan. Things seemed to be going swell, and she even laid her father's ashes across the land in Burkina Faso. So this story seems like it's going to have a happy ending, right? Unfortunately, you'd be wrong. Shortly into her stay in Burkina Faso, and by shortly, I mean literally within a month or two, her and JT fell out for an unknown reason. Now, Queen Elle has refused to speak publicly about the situation, but what we've heard from JT is that, number one, she may not have actually paid for her land in full. Number two, her behavior and her conduct in Burkina Faso was not well received by JT or his business associates. In later lives, after they fell out, JT would mention numerous times that Queen Elle had a penchant for wearing cleavage-bearing shirts or for wearing very short skirts. And this did not seem to sit well with JT. Though he never made his complaints known at the time, he later began to describe her way of dressing as somewhat inappropriate and as a reflection of her character. Now, Queen Elle has not confirmed or denied what went down between her and JT, but what we do know is that he was not pleased with what he called her gossiping about his business to other people. Apparently, she was inserting herself, according to JT, into deals and into situations that really did not involve her. And this made JT very upset. So very shortly into Queen Elle's stay in Burkina Faso, the friction between her and JT became very obvious and very pronounced. When a queen and a king rumble, the jungle feels it, and Burkina certainly felt it. Now, we don't know everything that transpired between JT and Queen Elle, but what we do know is that one of them is in Burkina Faso and one of them is not. Now, many are questioning how Queen Elle was able to hold her ground against a powerful force like JT in Burkina Faso. Many people thought that as a woman who was by herself and alone with her family, that she would be running back to the States. But Queen Elle has certainly not done that. In fact, Queen Elle was recently promoted as the CEO of the Bow Foundation. Now, the Bow Foundation is a charitable organization that was partnered with JT for many years. And in fact, they were the ones who invited JT to Burkina Faso. And he has been the head honcho. He's been their main hype man. He's brought tons of people to Burkina Faso. He put them on the map. And so many are questioning, how was it that a single woman who no one knew previously was able to step in and within a matter of weeks assume the role as CEO of the Bow Foundation? No one knows exactly how this occurred, but JT has made several statements that indicate that it was a surprise to him that she was chosen to be the CEO. And he has also stated that she has no control over his particular land dealings in the African country. One thing is for sure. With Queen Elle being the last one standing in Burkina, momentum is beginning to shift her way, and many folks are starting to ask if she is in fact the new boss of Burkina Faso. Now, we have not heard from Queen Elle on her own personal social media for many weeks. She's gone quiet, and as a typical boss would do, she's laying low until things blow over. She has gone onto other platforms to do interviews and things like that, but she's been playing her hand very closely to her chest on her own channel. So what do you think about this? Is Queen Elle the new boss in Burkina? How do you think she was able to take over as CEO within a matter of weeks? Let me know in the comments, and we'll be keeping an eye on this story.